T minus 30 seconds. T minus 20 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
I don't have to tell you things are bad. Everybody knows things are bad. It's a depression. Everybody's out of work or scared of losing their job. The dollar buys a nickel's worth. Banks are going bust. Shopkeepers keep a gun under the counter. Punks are running wild in the street, and there's nobody anywhere who seems to know what to do, and there's no end to it. We know the air is unfit to breathe, and our food is unfit to eat. We sit watching our TVs while some local newscaster tells us that today we had 15 homicides and 63 violent crimes, as if that's the way it's supposed to be. We know things are bad, worse than bad. They're crazy. It's like everything everywhere is going crazy, so we don't go out anymore. We sit in the house, and slowly the world we're living in is getting smaller, and all we say is, please, at least leave us alone in our living rooms. Let me have my toaster and my TV and my steel-belted radios, and I won't say anything. Just leave us alone. Well, I'm not going to leave you alone. I want you to get mad. I don't want you to protest. I don't want you to riot. I don't want you to write to your congressman because I wouldn't know what to tell you to write. I don't know what to do about the depression and the inflation and the Russians and the crime in the street. All I know is that first, you've got to get mad. You've got to say, I'm a human being. My life has value.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody, and welcome to Global Watchman News. My name is Lori Swan. I hope you guys are all doing well. If you're in the live chat, we do ask to keep it family friendly. There will be moderators in there to make sure that we stay within the terms of service put forth to us by the platform we're utilizing today. If you are new to the channel, we want to take a moment to say welcome. Hit that subscribe button, hit that bell so you know when we go live. I hope everybody is doing well today. It is Wednesday, March 13th, 2024. I'm feeling surprisingly very well the last few days. Started taking some new vitamins and minerals, and I think they're actually doing the job. I've been having a lot more energy and just feeling a little bit better. So do want to say thank you to everybody who is continuing to send their thoughts and prayers for my family. The kids are doing a little bit better. We all mourn in our own way. So, but I want to say thank you to everybody. So I tried to get Ken up here, Red Pill Truth, but he's having problems with his microphone. So hopefully he'll be able to join us soon once he gets that technical difficulties corrected. But this is actually prompted by a message that he had sent me, some links in our chat. And I think we've touched on this before when it comes to U.S. patents and their nefarious agenda behind these U.S. patents. We've talked about how they have the ability through frequency. Guys, frequency, it's all about frequency. It's all about how they can make you feel, the frequencies. Our bodies are made up almost entirely of water, and frequency affects the vibration. And you'll hear, and I don't want to go down the whole new age avenue that way, but when the new age people talk about the frequency and they talk about vibrations, they're really not off. They're very correct when they talk about vibrations, because it does affect us all mentally, physically, and spiritually. And so when the government realized back during the Montauk experiments, they realized that through low frequencies, they could affect the human behavior. They found out that they could manipulate people into either becoming docile or becoming violent with just a couple of frequencies. And so over the years, they've perfected this. If you research back into Tavistock, I'm going to pull this up. Oh, and by the way, guys, I do have the ability to share what's it called? Links underneath our videos again. So whatever I show you on the screen, you will be able to click the link in the description when we're done. Give me a few minutes when we finish up here, and I'll have those links available to you. For a while there, I wasn't able to do it because YouTube wanted me to validate my identity, and I had done that several times. But they never fixed it until last week, when they gave me the ability to make a video to actually show my face and just to show that I was a real person. So we have that ability back. All right, so Tavistock. So if you don't know what Tavistock is, Tavistock Institute of Human Behavior is set in London, and it has to do with the Committee of 300. They have a lot to do with what goes on there. And I'm going to read you this because I think it is quite interesting. I'm probably not going to read it all, but then we're going to go into some things. It says the author, this is the author of this document. The author, a former intelligence agent of British MI6, rips the lid off the conspiratorial group which knows no national boundaries, is above the law and all countries and is above the law of all countries and controls every aspect of political, commerce, religion, industry, banking, insurance, mining, and even the drug trade. This is a small elite group who are answerable to no one except its members. They've pulled the strings on all major world events, and few people have been aware of their existence, let alone their power in manipulating the affairs of the entire world. All of these members are revealed, including all the corporations, government agencies, and various movements which they have developed and control to further their own aims at world domination. Can you imagine an all-powerful group that knows no national boundaries, that has set itself above the laws of all countries, one that controls every aspect of politics, religion, commerce, and industry, banking, insurance, mining, and the drug trade, petroleum industry, and a group that is answerable to no one but its members? To the vast majority of us, such a group would appear to be beyond the realms of possibilities and capabilities of any given organization. If that is what you believe, then you are the majority. The concept of a secret elite group exercising control of every aspect of our lives is beyond our comprehension. Americans are prone to say, it can't happen here, or our Constitution forbids it. But there is such a body, and it's called the Committee of 300, and it's graphically told about in this document. When most people attempt to address our problems, they speak or write about they. This document tells precisely who they are and what they have planned for our future. It tells about how they have been at war with the American nation for over 50 years, a war that we, the people, are losing. It tells what methods they use and exactly how they have us all brainwashed. So the Tavistock Institute, and here's the address, 30 Tabernacle Street, London. It says, formed in 1947, the Tavistock Institute is an independent, not-for-profit organization which seeks to combine research in the social sciences with professional practice. Problems of institution building and organizational design and changes are being tackled in all sectors: government, industry, commerce, health, welfare, education, etc., nationally and internationally, and clients range from multinationals to small community groups. A growth area that has been the use of a developmental approach to evaluation of new and experimental programs, particularly in health, education, and community development. This has also produced new training events alongside regular programs of group relation and conferences. Three elements combine to make the Institute unusual, if not unique. It has the independence of being entirely self-financing, with no subsidies from government or other sources. The action research orientation places it between, but not in, the worlds of academia and consultancy, and its range of disciplines include anthropology, economics, organizational behavior, political science, psychoanalysis, psychology, and sociology. The ideology of American foundations was created by the Tavistock Institute of Human Relations in London. In 1921, the Duke of Bedford, Marquis of Tavistock, the 11th Duke, gave a building to the Institute to study the effects of shell shock on British soldiers who survived World War I. Its purpose was to establish the breaking point of men under stress under the direction of British Army Bureau of Psychological Warfare commanded by Sir John Rawlings Rees. This is important, this part. The Tavistock Institute is headquartered in London, and its prophet, Sigmund Freud, settled in Marsfield Gardens when he moved to England. He was given a mansion by Princess Bonaparte. Tavistock's pioneer work in behavioral science along Freudian lines of controlling humans established it as the world center of foundation ideology. Its networks now extend from the University of Sussex to the U.S. through the Stanford Research Institute. Stanford Research Institute is one of those institutes that when you watch PBS, when they say this program is sponsored by, that's one of the ones that sponsor it. They have their hand in everything. Tavistock Institute trained professors are teaching in our colleges. They know how to sway public opinion, public wants, public needs, and the way the public thinks. Back during the Vietnam War, Tavistock trained professors on the college campuses were swaying people on how they should react and how they should protest against war activities. We saw this. I mean, it was a big social experiment. Back during World War II, I believe it was, back in because this was established after World War I. to study the effects of shell shock, the mental effect that war had on a human being mentally. So back in World War II, the UK, specifically the UK, did not want to get involved in World War II. The people were widely against it until Tavistock got involved in it. And once Tavistock got involved in it, within 6 months, the majority of the people wanted to get involved in the war through propaganda. So this mind control thing has been going on for quite some time. So back when they were doing the Montauk experiments, they came to the realization that you can have an effect on the way a person reacts to a stimulus or the way a person behaves in a group and individually. When they were going into the MK Ultra, and you can, if you don't know what MK Ultra is, a good source is to look up Fritz Springmeier. He talks about MK Ultra. And what they do is they use frequencies to control how a person reacts. So after they realized this and they started manipulating the frequencies, they realized that they could play a huge role. That's the word I'm looking for. A huge role in how the public reacts to just about anything. When the TV was introduced, because we had radio before then. I don't know about radio. I'm sure they have a way of sending through a background frequency during the broadcast. I don't know. I just know that when the introduction of the television came about, where is it? Right here. They realized through something known as the flicker rate that they could manipulate people using monitors, electromagnetic field from monitors. And I want to thank our friend who has since passed away, Jeff Lehman. He's the one that taught me about the flicker rate. He's the one that told me, watch the kids when they go to play video games. He said they will get so engulfed in the video games. Watch their face. If you have a child that plays video games, watch their faces. After a while, after a short period of time playing the games, their faces will droop, their mouths will drop, and sometimes they'll drool. That's because they're hypnotized through the flicker rate. And what the flicker rate is how many times per second that screen flickers. And we can't really see it with our naked eye. It's a subconscious knowledge. We don't see it because it's so fast. It's so fast that the screen doesn't look like it's even moved, but it has so many thousands of times per second. And they can control a person using this flicker rate, not just frequency, but through this flicker rate. They can send through subliminal messages. Do you remember back in I believe it was the late 1970s, maybe early 1980s, when we still had drive-in movie theaters? I just aged myself there. Where they decided that they were going to put the commercials, and they admitted to putting subliminal messages in those advertisements or in those movies, where people they do a flash of like food or a flash of like candy, and people would, not even knowing it, be like, I can go for some popcorn right now. And they would go and they would buy at the concession stand. That was what they did. They manipulated those people into buying and purchasing their products. That's the same thing with the flicker rate. That's the same thing what they're doing psychologically to us every time we turn on the TV. They have that ability to control a crowd, even. You guys remember the Travis Scott concert where people said they heard a loud frequency? They heard frequencies? Microwaves are frequencies. Let me pull up. Not that one. Hold on just a moment. All right. Let's pull this one up. Let me see if I can. I don't want to do that. Okay. Yes, I can pull this up. Okay. So when we talk about frequencies and we talk about patents, a lot of people don't realize that how many patents the governments, I say governments because it's not just the United States, but we're going to concentrate on the U.S. patents right this second. So this is just 3 pages of U.S. patents that the government has regarding frequencies. And it tells you with the acronym that they use. ULF is ultra low frequencies from 3 to 30 hertz. ELF is extremely low from 30 to 300. VF, which is voice frequencies, is 300 to 3000. VLF is very low frequencies, 3 kilohertz to 30. And it goes down the list. And it tells over here, Navy Strategic Communications, Navy Communication Navigation, AM broadcast, shortwave ham radio, international broadcast, FM broadcast, television, police and fire, satellite, GPS, cell phone, television, satellite comm and broadcast, and satellite communications. It's the frequencies in between these that they are using to manipulate. I'm going to, let's do this. I'm going to copy this because this one's quite interesting. Let me get it here. Let's do copy. Let's go to Google and do PATEN patent. Type that one in there. Okay. So this last one right here. I will put all the links that I'm pulling up in the description below when I'm done. This one is energy focusing system for active denial apparatus. An active denial apparatus is used for non-lethal weaponry. Includes at least one focus element configuring to focus millimeter wave energy along an active axis of propagation. And this is considered a direct energy weapon. An example of that would be devices that direct a beam of high energy content toward a target for incapacitating or destroying the target, the high energy beam being of microwave type for causing heating effect at the target. Now, go back to this. I wish we had a way to toggle. Maybe screen share or StreamYard will do this. The one that I just pulled up is this EP2113063A1. It's 95 gigahertz. And if you come over here, listen to it. Affects tissues to the depth of 0.5 millimeters, blood vessels, nerves, and glands. Here's one. It's a U.S. patent, 2009-019-3 33441A. This was patented on, it was applied for a patent on January 8th. Wait a minute. Date filed. Yeah. It was filed on January 8th of 2024. So this is a brand new patent through the Sony Corporation. They're the ones that own the patent. Method of monitoring community mood by remotely analyzing voice, text, and biometrics. Here's one. February 23rd of 1971. That's a very far back. General Dynamics Corp owns the patent. A system for producing a system for producing oral through your aura, psychological disturbances and partial deafness in the enemy. Another one from August 31st, 1999. A system for monitoring emotions by listening to conversations between at least two persons. Here's one from December 29th of 2016. Control human behavior via targeting human brain with ELF and EMFs. Here's one from June 13th, 2023. Remotely reads brainwaves, sending back response to achieve desired brain state. How do they do that? Through frequencies. Here's one from November 26th of 1980. Controls mental state of subjects by adding imperceivable subliminal messages to audio signals. 1983, October 17th. Superimposes subliminal images onto a subject's existing television signal. 1988, generates and propagates artificial sound and voice sounds that will be heard by a target. Voice to skull technology. We've talked about that many times. Here's one. U.S. patent 5551879A. Dream alteration. That's some crazy stuff right there. Insanity. They have all of these patents to sway us in a certain direction. They have the ability to social engineer a population or social manipulate a population. Do you think that they have these patents and they don't use them? When a group of people congregate or assemble for a peaceful protest or a peaceful demonstration, and all of a sudden it turns violent or it takes a bad turn. Yes, some of it is caused by bad elements that are there causing the trouble. COINTELPRO. But a lot has to do with the frequencies. I mean, one person screaming and yelling and throwing rocks isn't really going to do anything. But if you have a frequency that causes people to behave that way, then you've got a problem. And they just sit back at the controls and you were none the wiser. And then the media propaganda machine takes over. They start using keywords that trigger us, keywords that have a psychological effect on us, keywords that, you know, those of us that don't know that they're being manipulated, that works. And even those of us that are awake, there's nothing to stop it. So even though we are awake to knowing that these technologies exist, how do we stop it? I believe personally that they knew back in the day, they knew that the lead-based paints that we were painting our houses with blocked some of these frequencies. I don't think it was lead poisoning that led them to get rid of the lead-based paints. I believe it was because they knew that the lead that we were putting on our walls, sometimes, I mean, if you live in an apartment building, you know that they don't scrape off the old, they just throw on another coat. So you had like 15, 20 coats of lead-based paint in these apartments. It was interfering with what they wanted to do. May sound far-fetched, but it's not. They've even come so far as to be able to target an individual through your DNA. That's why they put a push for collecting DNA through 23andMe, through Ancestry.com. They marketed it as a way to get to know yourself better, to get closer to your family, to know where you came from. They went for our familial emotions. Now they don't need to. Now when you're a baby, when you're born, they take your DNA right after birth. That's what that prick on the baby's heel. That's what it is. They're collecting DNA. But they needed a way to bring everybody prior to that into it. Before, the only way you had your DNA taken was if you were a convicted felon. You had to give your DNA. And I believe if you went into the military. Other than that, they had no way of knowing. So up until a certain point, the only way that they could do that is if we voluntarily did it. And they couldn't very well do a campaign that was like, give us your DNA. We want to create DNA specific weapons. No, they pleaded to our familial primal instinct of wanting to know where we come from, wanting to connect with our ancestors. And we willingly gave it to them. It's like we willingly give them everything else. We willingly downloaded Pokemon Go or whatever it was called that pretty much mapped out our houses. We willingly use GPS. We willingly use our cell phones with our tracking devices on it. We willingly do that. We willingly share on social media every aspect of our life. We willingly do that. And they eat it up. They have a psychological profile on the people that they deem a threat. Those of us that are doing this, putting out this type of information, doing these shows, if you follow me on Facebook, doing all these things, I'm sure there's a file on me somewhere with my psychological profile. You got people like Russ Didstar, who I believe he was targeted, him and his wife. It was a DNA specific strain that was released at the conference that he was at. Firmly believe that. Fingerprints is different than your DNA. DNA is you know, they map out your DNA through bodily fluids. Yeah, we all have our, like I said, our psychological profiles saved someplace. But these things exist. They're not for our benefit, they're for the benefit of the government. There's nothing that a frequency weapon can do for us as a society. They could use those frequencies to assist in the growth of crops. But they'll never do that because their goal is depopulation, not to feed everybody, but to starve the people of the world. Everything's about frequency. You know the old saying, it's not what you say, it's how you say it? Frequency. You know the experiment with the two plants where the first one they blared classical, or acid rock at it. And the second one they gave a classical. The one with the classical music thrived. The one with the acid rock withered away and died. Frequency. Experiment where they had the two plants and one was talked nice to, the other one was screamed at and just told vile things about it. That one died. One with the loving frequency flourished. Frequencies. All about the frequency. Most of our illnesses nowadays are caused from an imbalance in our bodies caused by frequencies. The clothes we wear have a specific frequency. The Bible tells us not to mix linen with wool. Why? Because they're polar opposites of one another, their frequency. If you wore pure linen, the frequency was a healing frequency. If you wore wool, it was the opposite frequency and it drained you. It drained the life force from you. Frequencies. And Tavistock is involved. When I say they're involved in everything, I mean they're involved in everything. They're involved in the education of our children. They're involved in our higher education. They're involved in pharmaceuticals. They're involved in politics. They're involved with the American Medical Association, American Association for Psychology. It goes back to Project Paperclip. When we brought all of these high profile, very intellectual scientists over here, and they formed these agencies. They formed the American Medical Association. They formed the American Association for Psychology. They started teaching in our colleges. They formed the CIA, the FBI, NASA, all of these agencies. They are in every aspect of our lives. Most of the illnesses that affect us today are caused by one of two things. One is being parasites, and the other being frequency. It's crazy. Again, it's not what you say, it's how you say it. Frequency. All right, I'm going to put all the links in the description below for you guys to check out that I have pulled up here. I have a couple more that Ken actually showed me. I thought that this is what got me going because I wanted to do this for a while. This is the one that Ken gave me. It's a military site, and it's forest fires as a military weapon. And there's that one. And then, and I'll put these in the description below too. There's one. Forest fire. This is a 1970 U.S. Department of Agriculture Forest Service document. You can see here it's 8509724L. Final report, June 1970. And it goes on talking about the different aspects of how to use this weapon. They even quoted the Bible in it, which I think is crazy. But they have it here. So, all right, we will be back tonight, guys. Tonight with Big John. We're going to talk about the upcoming April 8th eclipse. Guys, this is crazy. Some of the things that I've looked at, something doesn't make sense about it, and we're going to talk about it tonight. But the path of the moon and the path of the sun during this eclipse don't even cross each other. And I'm going to show you that tonight because it's pretty strange. We're going to talk about how it's the sign of Jonah and how Jonah warned the people of Nineveh that destruction was coming. We're going to talk about that with Big John tonight. Link is up on the channel. We look forward to seeing you there. I want to thank everybody in our chat room. I want to thank all of our moderators. And as always, remember, until next time, keep your eyes open. No fear.